This is essay 2026, the paper analysis, what was actually asked, what separated the scripts, and what 2027 has to learn. Two people should watch this. If you wrote this paper on Friday, this is what the 8 topics were actually asking and where the marks were hiding in each one. If you are starting for 2027, this is more useful still because this paper changed something about how the essay has to be prepared, and I will name that change at the end. I'm going to do all 8 topics, not the two you choose, all 8. Here is the verdict in one sentence. This was the hardest section A in years, sitting next to the most examinable section B topic in years. That is the whole paper in one line. Section A gave you 4 images and no argument. Section B gave you 4 arguments and no image. And most of the room did not notice that two and most of the room did not notice that the two sections were built differently, which is where the paper was won and lost. So let me read you the 8 topics exactly as they were printed. That is section A1, Oxymorons reflect the ironies of life. The second one, a grateful mind is very beautiful. And third one, a thorn is a changed bud. And fourth one is, when two elephants fight, it is the grass that gets trampled. Then section B, comes to section B. Question number 5, that is the nature. Nature is the symbol of the spirit. The sixth one is, a well educated mind will always have more questions than answers. The seventh one is, shelving hard decisions is the latest, sorry, shelving hard decisions is the least ethical course. A good leader is one who follows the followers. So 63 words, 8 topics, an average of just under 8 words each. Section A, this paper has ever set. Section B ran 7, 10, 8, 9. Now 3 checks we are going to discuss. And all 3 confirm what this paper has become. The check number 1, that is form. Every one of 8 is a declarative statements. No question mark, no discuss, no myth or reality. That is 48 topics in a row since 2021 with not one interrogative among them. Then comes to check number 2, that is India. Not one topic names a country, a policy, a sector, or institution. No India, no scheme, no ministry, nothing. That is the 7th paper in a row. And then check number 3, that is in the register, that is Canon. This is the new one. The quotation pool this year is not the Western canon, it usually is. Only topic 5 is a proper quotation. Emerson from Nature, 1836. Topic 4 is an African proverb, and topic 2, a grateful mind is very beautiful. Is not idiomatic English at all. So read the Hindi beside it and you will see why. These are aphorisms rendered to English, not lines lifted out of a Western book. Here is the finding of this paper, and I want you to write it down. For years, section A was abstract and section B was applied. That died in 2021. Both sections went abstract and stayed abstract. This year, the two sections are different again, but on a completely new axis. The section A was metaphor and proverb rich, four images, and not one of them carries a proposition on its face. Then comes to section B, it was argument. Section B was argument, four positional claims, and you can affirm them or you can deny them. So look at what does to you in the hall. A proposition tells you what to argue with. Always least. A good leader is one who you can attack those words. An image tells you nothing. A Thorn is a changed bird. Let's say example makes no claim you can disagree with until you have converted it into one yourself. So what is the section A division that came back? Four images, no proposition on the face of any of them in four questions, and you must supply the claim before you can argue with it. Then comes to section B, that is argument. Four positional claims, affirm them or deny them as printed, and the strongest word is printed for you. The old abstract against applied division is still dead. This one is usable again. So section A this year was not harder because the ideas were harder. It was harder because it made you do a step first that nobody teaches. I will come back to the step at the end. It is the biggest lesson of this paper. One more thing, and this may be the single most useful thing I say today. Topic 5 in English is nature is the symbol of the spirit. Nature is the symbol of the spirit. But in Hindi it reads Prakriti hi Jivatma ka pratik hai. So two words in that line do work. The English does not. Jivatma is not spirit in the loose sense. It is the individual soul, and he is exclusive. Nature alone is the symbol, which means this was never an environment topic. Most of the room read the English, saw the word nature, and wrote climate change, biodiversity, and sustainable development for 1100 words. The Hindi makes that reading almost impossible to defend. So write this down. When a topic is ambiguous in English, read it Hindi. The UPSC sets both. The second one often tells you which meaning was intended. So what is the quantifier check here? And all eight, what are those? The scope of the word in the first topic, that is none. The topic is an image. So comes to verdict part, thin. The second one is only, very. This is also thin. The third one is none. So the topic is an image. So fourth one, it is the grass. Exclusivity. Exclusivity. So it should be clean. Then comes to fifth one, he. Exclusive in Hindi alone. Then sixth one, always. So that is clean. Then least, that is also clean, is one who, that is definitional, clean. So three of the four section A topics defeat the selection drill as it is normally taught. So prakriti hi jivatma ka pratik hai. Jivatma is the individual soul, not spirit in the loose sense. He is exclusive. Nature alone is the symbol. This was never an environment topic. Now the eighth, at a one at a time for each topic, the essay. Most people wrote the essay that was actually being asked, and where India comes in. Because remember, none of these eight let India in through the front door. You had to bring it. The topic number one we are going to discuss, that is Oxymorons reflect the ironies of life. Oxymorons reflect the ironies of life. Actually, what was asked in this? Which contradictions reality forces language to hold and separate oxymoron, paradox, and irony? Only irony is the claim. That is peaceful nuclear explosion 1974. What most wrote a garland of examples, deafening silence, jumbo shrimp, civil war, no argument anywhere. So the essay we are going to discuss oxymorons reflect the ironies of life. The essay most people wrote was a vocabulary essay. Defining silence, jumbo shrimp, civil war, a garland of examples, and no argument anywhere. But the essay being asked is this: what is this? An oxymoron is a contradiction. An oxymoron and an oxymoron is a contradiction that language is forced to hold because reality is holding it first. So the subject is not funny word pairs, it is necessary contradictions. And the move that lifts this is essay is a separation almost nobody made. An oxymoron is a linguistic yoking. A paradox is an apparent contradiction that resolves when you look harder. An irony is an outcome that marks the intention behind it. Only the third is what the topic actually claims. Say so, and you are already ahead of the room. India comes in through the vocabulary of the state, that is peaceful nuclear explosion 1974, and that is our own phrase, not somebody else's. Sovereign socialist secular democratic republic read against 1991. Jobless growth, the creamy layer inside affirmative action, the unorganized sector that employs almost everybody, and surgical strike violence described in the language of medicine. Then concede honestly, not every oxymoron means anything. Not every oxymoron means anything. Not every oxymoron means anything. Some are just sloppy writing, and the term the oxymorons a society repeats without noticing are the ones that mark its fault lines. This was the least crowded topic on the paper and the highest ceiling in section A. Then we are moving to topic number 2, that is a grateful mind is very beautiful. The failure here is the easiest failure on the paper. 1200 words in praise of gratitude, no adversary, no argument, a speech, not an essay. The way in is the strange word, not good, beautiful. Why is this an aesthetic claim and not a moral one? Because gratitude cannot be compelled. Duty can be demanded of you. Gratitude offered on demand is not gratitude at all. That is why it is beautiful rather than merely right. And now the adversary here, gratitude demanded, is difference. What is the adversary here? Which I think is the strongest single Indian move available on this whole paper. Gratitude is also technique of power. Be grateful for what you have is the standard answer given to somebody demand a right. Feudal difference dressed up as a gratitude, caste difference dressed up as gratitude, welfare described as benevolence instead of entitlement. The difference between being a beneficiary and being a rights holder under the right to food, and colonial gratitude, railways, and English language presented as a debt we owed. So then resolve it, and the resolution is one line. Gratitude that is offered is beautiful. Gratitude that is a demanded is power wearing a soft face. And carry this with you because it is bigger than this topic. A virtue is only a virtue when it is chosen. The single move works on gratitude, on patience, on charity, and and obedience. The one indicator that is nobody used, the three nas, the debits. Own tradition did not treat gratitude as a feeling, it treated it as a debit with a structure. That is a better paragraph than anything from positive psychology. So, what most write? 1200 words in praise of gratitude, no adversary in anywhere in the essay, a speech, not an essay without those adversary. So, what you have to write and what was asked here, why beautiful and why did not asked as good? Why beautiful and not good? Gratitude cannot be compelled because the adversary is the gratitude demanded is the difference. Benevolence against entitlement. Trirnas. So then we are moving the third one, that is a Thorn is a changed bird. The failure mode is the motivational essay. Adversity makes you strong. Hardship builds character. That is the lowest ceiling treatment on the paper. The failure mode is the motivational essay. Adversity makes you strong. Hardship builds character. That is the lowest ceiling treatment on the paper. So start with botany and be precise about it because precision is the whole key. In many species, the thorn develops from the auxiliary bud, the same structure that would otherwise have become a shoot or a flower. So the claim is not the suffering is good for you. The claim is not that suffering is good for you. The claim is that defense and beauty are two possibilities of one living potential. The claim is what? That defense and beauty are two possibilities of one living potential. So hostility is not the opposite of tenderness. It is tenderness that has been forced to protect itself. So now take that into three domains. That is the first one is psychology, hardness as scar tissue, cruelty as adoption in the psychology, and then we are going to politics. The militant is the reformer who was refused. The standard reading of Naxalbari takes it out of the failure of tenancy reform and insurgency more widely out of constitutional demand denied. Then moving to institutions, idealism hardening into procedural rigidity. The officer who stopped saying yes, and here is the sentence that decides your mark on this topic. So explanation is not exoneration. The bird's history explains the thorn, it does not disarm it. An essay that forgets this line stops being analysis and starts reading like a justification, and no examiner rewards that. Then the reverse, which is where elegance is. If a bud can become a thorn can become a bud again. If a bud can become a thorn can become a bud again. Mizoram and insurgency that ended in peace after 1986 occurred, surrender and rehabilitation, transitional justice, the Assam and Bodo Accords. So a society is judged by how many of its thorns it can turn back into buds. Widest gap on the paper between the cliche and the argument. So a society is what? A society is judged by how many of its thorns it can turn back into buds. A society is judged by how many of its thorns. How many of its thorns it can turn back into buds. Widest gap on the paper between the cliche and the argument. What was asked here? The thorn develops from the auxiliary bud. The structure that could have been a flower could have been a flower. The structure that could have been a flower. So in that place the thorn develops from the auxiliary bird. The defense and beauty out of the potential one. The defense and beauty out of one potential explanation is not exoneration. So what most right? Adversity makes you strong. The motivational essay, the lowest ceiling on the paper. So you have to write, and what was asked here is this thing. Then we are moving to fourth one. So the thorn develops from the auxiliary bud, the same organ under different conditions. Thorns are modified stems, spines are modified leaves, and a rose bear prickles. In that, the Naxalbari and insurgency in Mizoram that ended in peace after 1986 occurred. So, what is the fourth one topic that is in the section A of essay? That is when two elephants fight, it is the grass that gets trampled. This was the most attempted topic in the hall, which means it was also the least differentiating. The examiner read this one 200 times, and most of those 200 were a news bulletin like Ukraine, Gaza, America, and China. No idea holding any of it together. So the question is not what you know, it is what you do that the other 199 did not. So start with the half of the proverb nobody quotes. Start with the half of the proverb nobody quotes. When elephants make love, it is also the grass that suffers. When elephants make love, it is also the grass that suffers. That changes the whole essay. It is not conflict that crushes, it is asymmetry of those scale. It is asymmetry of scale. Two giants cooperating flatten the small just as thoroughly as two giants fighting. Duopolies, cartels, two firms setting a standard the rest of the world must follow. Then the turn, and this is the mark. Attack the metaphor itself, it is fatalistic. It makes the weak an object with no agency at all. But grass survives elephants, grass grows back. Grass is what the elephant needs to eat. So non-alignment was the grass refusing to choose ideas. Bandung and Global South summits are the grass organizing. Discounted crude and the China plus one gainers are the grass profiting from the fight. And there is a quantifier here too. It is the grass that gets trampled. That claims exclusivity as if only the grass pays. The Cold War exhausted one of the elephants. Afghanistan exhausted both of them. So what is that? What was asked here is the half nobody quotes when elephant make love, the grass suffers too. Asymmetric crushes, not conflict, and the grass is not without agency, like Bandung, the non-aligned movement, China plus one. What most wrote Ukraine, Gaza, American, China, a news bulletin with no idea holding it together. The most attempted, least differentiating topic this is. And moving to topic number 5, that is nature is the symbol of spirit. We have done the Hindi, so you already know the failure mode, the environment essay. Ecological material still belongs on this essay, but it comes in as application after you have decoded the proposition, not as the subject. The proposition is Emerson's, and his argument runs in a chain. Words are signs of natural facts. Words are signs of natural facts. Natural facts are symbols of spiritual facts. Nature is a language for something that has no other language. Now, the Indian entry, and notice the order: principle first, fact afterwards. The identity of Atman and Brahman, the Isha Upanishad, all this is enveloped. And then the disagreement, which is where the marks actually are. Sankhya denies this proposition outright. Prakriti is precisely what Purusha is not. They are two, not one. But Indian philosophy contains both the affirmation and refusal of this topic. So stage the argument inside your essay, and you have written something nobody else in that hall wrote. The facts arrive after the Bishnoi, sacred groves, the river personhood, the river personhood order and its stay. Then the counter one is what? And it is must be made. Reading spirit into nature may be projection rather than discovery. And projection has the cost. The The most worshipped river in this country is also among the most polluted one. So reverence by itself has not produced stewardship. Symbolism can motivate protection and it cannot replace measurement. What was asked here? Emerson's chain, that is nature as a language for what has no other language. Then comes to Sankhya. Then Sankhya, who denies the proposition outright. And reverence has not produced stewardship. And most what most right? Climate change, biodiversity, sustainable development, 1100 words of English word nature, but the Hindi was never read. So Sankhya denied the proposition here. Prakriti, Purusha, two irreducible principles, not one symbolizing the other. Prakriti is not a sign pointing at Purusha, it is the other thing entirely. The proposition fails inside the tradition. The Isha Upanishad, the Isha Upanishad is what? The other side of disagreement, affirming something close to Emerson. So, staging that disagreement instead of presenting the tradition as one harmonious voice was the 8 mark move. Then moving to the next one, that is the sixth topic. A well-educated mind will always have more questions than answers. The failure mode is education system, essay, rote learning, coaching culture, coaching culture, the new education policy, good material, fatal as the whole structure. Because none of it argues with the proposition. The distinction that opens this topic is simple. Training terminates in answers. Training terminates in answers. Education proliferates questions. Socratic aporia, Socratic aporia, proper and falsification. The Nalanda tradition of disputation and Purva Paksha, the rule that you must state your opponent's case before your own. That is the Indian formalization of exactly this claim, and almost nobody used it. Tagore's parrot, Tagore's parrot, stuffed with pages until it died, is the other half of the same point. Now attack the quantifier because this is where the topic is one. The word is always. The word is always. The surgeon must stop asking and cut. The pilot must decide, the engineer must sign, doubt has a cost, and somebody pays it. An education, it produces only questions, produces the fashionable cynic, fluent at taking things apart, useless at building and anything. And here is the cleanest counter example. A small child asks endless questions and is not well educated. So the ratio is not the measure. The quality of the question is. Then rescue the claim is in a defensible form, because you should not simply defeat it. Answers accumulate arithmetically, questions accumulate geometrically or geometrically. So each answer opens more doors than it closes. That version survives. India enters through a principle, Article 51A, Clause H, scientific temper, the spirit of inquiry and reform. That is the topic written into the Constitution as duty. Then moving to topic number 7, that is shelving hard decisions, is the least ethical course, the most examinable topic on the paper. And if you prepared anything at all, this was your essay. It is also year 3 on the same axis. 2024 asked whether the cost of being wrong is less than the cost of doing nothing. Whether the cost of being wrong is less than the cost of doing nothing. 2025 said muddy water is best cleared by leaving it alone. And this year, shelving hard decisions is the least ethical course. Act, wait, act. So the UPSC has been arguing with itself in public for 3 years. The spine is that a non-decision is a decision. It is the second phase of power, the ability to keep something off the table entirely. Omission against commission. Deontology tends to shelter the person who shelved. He did not. He did nothing after all. Consequentialism convicts him. because the outcome is identical. The proposition takes the consequentialist side. So say so, then test it. Attack list, that superlative is claiming that delay is worse than deciding wrongly. Is it? A hasty decision can be irreversible. So delay preserves your options, and the commission printed the opposite claim 1 year ago, naming that in your essay is move nobody else is in the hall will make. Here is the formulation that lifts the essay, and it is one line, that is, the test is who pays for the delay. Deferral so that you can be deliberate, the deferral so that you can deliberate is legitimate. Deferral where the decider is insulated and other people carry the cost, that is the least ethical course. And this topic had the best Indian evidence based on the paper. Constitutional silence used as shelving, speakers sitting on anti-defection petitions under the house expires, governors withholding assent to bills, mercy petitions pending for years under trials, held longer than the maximum sentence for the offense they are accused of. The Women's Reservation Act, whose operation was tied to a census and a delimitation still to come, then widen it, climate as shelving across generations, bad loans recognized later, and a census deferred. So what most wrote, decision making is important, procrastination is bad, no test, no counter case, management explains with nothing Indian in them, etc., etc. But what was asked, a non-decision is a decision. The second phase of the power, attack least, is delay worse than deciding wrongly. The test is who pays for the delay. Then moving to, this is the best evidence in this topic, speaker sitting on anti-defection petition until the house expires, governor withholding assent to bills, mercy petitions pending for years, under trials held longer than the maximum sentence for the offense, a reservation law whose operation waits on a census and a delimitation. And then the honest counter is what Ambedkar and Nehru deferred the Uniform Civil Code deliberately. And eighth one, a good leader follows the followers. The failure mode is the leadership listicle, like vision, empathy, integrity. Five leaders mentioned, one each. The leadership listicle, vision, empathy, integrity, five examples, no argument. So resolve the paradox by specifying the object. Follow their interests, not their impulses. Their direction, not their mood. Not their mood. Servant leadership, Lao Tzu's leader, whose people say at the end that they did it in themselves, then stage the antithesis and use the founding text, Burke, to the electors of Bristol, your representative owes you his judgment, and he betrays you if he sacrifices it to your opinion. That is representative government's own answer to this proposition, and it is flat no. Now the paragraph that wins the essay and is it is entirely Indian, following the followers is populism, and every major social reform in this country was a leader refusing to follow them. Sati, widow remarriage, the Hindu Code Bill over which Ambedkar resigned, the abolition of untouchability against the sentiment of the majority, 1991, and then the most elegant structure the paper allowed put Gandhi on both sides. He suspended non-cooperation after Chauri Chaura against almost everybody's wishes, and he chose salt as the symbol when his own colleagues thought it an odd choice because he had read the country better than they had. One figure carrying thesis and antithesis. That beats five leaders mentioned once each. One caution before we move on. The line there, go, my people, I must follow them. The line. What is the line? There, go, my people, I must follow them, for I am their leader. The leader role in it is not Gandhi. If you wrote that line and put Gandhi's name under it, you are in very large company. It is the standard error, and it will be in thousands of scripts. And what was asked here? Follow their interests, not their impulses. Work against proposition, consent as sources, direction as duty. Gandhi on both sides, Chauri Chaura, and the choice of salt. So, what are the now the thing that explains the entire paper? Two candidates walk into the identical material, same notes, same examples, same coaching. One writes a 105 and one writes a 140 marks. This is the difference, and it happens in the first 3 minutes before either of them writes a word. Take the 8 topics again and put the weak reading next to the strong one, the topic one, and attribution four warnings here. There go my people, I must follow them, for I am their leader. Ledru Rollin, not Gandhi. This will be in thousands of scripts. The honest places in hell are reserved for those who remain neutral. The honest, the hottest places, the hottest places in hell are reserved for those who remain neutral. Kennedy's paraphrase, not Dante. Dante's image is vestibule of the neutrals. The question 5 in Emerson, Nature 1836, his line is symbol of spirit. UPSC inserted the article. And question number 6 that is circulates as Helen Keller, unverified, do not attribute on paper. So, what is the weak reading and what is the strong reading? The question number 1 weak reading is a list of oxymorons, but strong reading is which contradictions a society must hold and which has it has stopped noticing. The second topic is the weak one is gratitude is a good thing. The strong one is gratitude chosen is beautiful. Gratitude demanded is power wearing a soft face. Then comes to question 3. Adversity makes you strong. This is weak one. And defense and beauty from one potential and explanation is not exoneration. Asymmetry distributes the cost and the weak are not without agency. This is fourth strong one. And big powers at small states. This is weak one. And coming to question number 5, that is we must protect nature. This is the weak one. The strong one is what? Whether meaning in nature is discovery or projection, and Sankhya denies it. Then comes to sixth one, weak one, that is education makes you curious, but strong one is not the number of questions but their quality and the cost of endless doubt. So then moving to sixth one, that is weak one, what? Education makes you curious, and not number of questions but their quality and the cost of endless doubt. Then question number 7, that is do not postpone decisions is weak one, but who pays for the delay? Deliberation against evasion. Then comes to eighth one, leaders should listen. This is weak one. Then comes to responsive against responsiveness against judgment, consent as source, direction as duty. So the left column is not wrong. The left column is this. This is what? Not wrong. This is exactly what makes it dangerous. It is not wrong. That is what makes it dangerous. Every line in the left column is a true and reasonable thing to say. It is just a thing that 800 and other people also said. So you have to be something different. So 5 things separate the scripts. The one was the image converted into claim before the pen moved. 5 things separate the scripts. What are the 5 things? The first one is was the image converted into a claim before the pen moved, and the second one is what? Was the counter position inside the essay are missing? This is important thing. And then third one, did India enter through a principle and leave through a fact or arrive as current affairs? And fourth one is was the strongest word attacked? And the fifth one is 4 domains deep or 8 domains shallow. So one applies only to section A. 4 was clean on question 4, question 6, question 7, question 8, and question 5 only if you read the Hindi. So three topics decided the paper. Three topics decided this paper. Topic 4 because the most people took it and it is separated them at least. Taken by the most, taken by the most, separated by the least. Volume without differentiation. Comes to question number 7 because it had the highest ceiling and the clearest evidence base of the 8. And the question number 3 or topic number 3 because it had the widest gap between a cliche and an argument. The widest gap motivational cliche on one side, the auxiliary bird, Naxal Bari and Mizoram on the other. The best combination available was topic 1 with the topic 7, the least crowded topic in section A and best evidence in section B. Two combinations were traps, topic 3 and topic 5, two pure metaphors, no proposition on either face. And topic 2 with topic 5, two topics with no adversary at all, that is 2400 words of appreciation, and it scores like it. Last week, I put up a video on this paper with 10 ranked access and a set of practice propositions. Let me hold it against what actually came. Declarative, all eight, all eight outcome is what held 48 in a row since 2021. No India held the seventh consecutive paper year this year also, and the section A and B hedged is dead. I told this before in that what was in that week video held. This is nothing applied appear in section B also, because both A and B sections those are two also abstract essays. So restraint against action, restraint versus action, ranked 1. Question 7 year 3 on the axis, 24 act, 25 weight and 26 act. Then truth and doubt ranked 2, that is question number 6. The twin trap, that is question 1 and question 3, one essay wearing two faces. Two axes ranked first and second are two strongest topics in section B. So two axes are ranked first and second are the two strongest topics in section B, and two of the practice propositions I gave you to write. I gave you to write against were very close indeed. I gave you the hardest decision is the one to wait, that is topic number 7. I gave you the mechanic, the machine that answers every question has made us worse at asking them, that is the topic number 6. And I gave you a right claimed is worth more than a favor granted, that is adversary sitting inside topic 2. Now the part I would rather skip, which is exactly I am not going to. Here is Here is what I said at rank 4 word for word gender. Gender. 5 appearances in 2016 to 2023, then nothing in 2024 or 2025, longest gap since 2016. And at rank 5, nature against civilization, running biennially forests in 2022, forests and deserts in 2024, 2026 is on cycle. So gender did not appear. Second year running, I ranked it fourth. That is the straight miss. Nature appeared, but not the nature. I mean, I was expecting forests and deserts and ecology topic. What came was Emerson and the soul. The label was right and the treatment was wrong. I'm scoring that half, and here is the honest part. Before that video was recorded, both of those lines were flagged to me as the two that what would read badly in hindsight if the paper landed elsewhere. I kept them as they were. I should have softened them. One thing I will claim, I told you 5 straight abstract papers was a long run. That an applied section B was possible but not likely, and not to keep 3 areas warm without building your preparation around them. That was the right shape of hedge. It cost you nothing at it, and it would have caught the other outcome. I said in the beginning I would come back to step nobody teaches. Here it is. Everything is the essay is normally taught with assumes a proposition, find the strongest word, attack it, argue, concede, synthesis. 3 or 4 section A topics this year had no such word. No such word. A Thorn is a changed word, has nothing into it attack. Nothing into it attack. So there is a step before the step. Call it the metaphor move, and it has 5 stages. Stage number one, that is metaphor move. Stage number one, that is image. Elephants fight and the grass is trampled. Then stage number two, the climb. Conflict between the powerful is paid for by the weak. Stage three, negate. The weak are not passive, and not the powerful are not unhurt. Negate what? The weak are not passive, and the powerful are not unhurt. The stage number four, that is test against Bandung, against the non-aligned movement, against China plus one. And fifth one is synthesis. Synthesis, asymmetry decides who pays, but agency can redistribute it. So convert the image into climb, the negate the climb, only then start arguing. That is the technique this paper was built to punish you for not having. The 4 instructions for 2027. The first one is learn the metaphor move. A whole section can run metaphor heavy, a new possibility, but not a permanent rule. The second one is build a paradox and contradiction bank. 2 of 8 topics this year, and that axis was on nobody's list. And the third one is the indie canon is now compulsory, not optional. Purva Paksha, the three Irnas, the Isha, the Isha Upanishad, and Sankhya, which denies question 5 outright. So every one of them was available this year, and almost nobody used them. And fourth one, read the Hindi. It is a decoding tool, not a courtesy translation. One last thing, and it is the thing I would want you to leave with. Not of these 8 topics mentioned this country. Not not one of, not eight, not not one of these 8 topics mentioned this country, and yet Ambedkar belongs in topic 2, that is Article 51A, subclass H, in topic 6, constitutional silence in topic 7, and the Hindu code bill in the topic 8, and you bring it because it fits. So I'm discussing first one, Ambedkar, the three Irnas, Naxalbari, Mizoram, Bandung, Sankhya, Purvapaksha, constitutional silence, Chauri Chaura. So you bring it because it fits. That was true last year. It was true this year. And on the evidence of 7 straight papers, it will be true next year. Next film we are going to discuss, that is the GS paper 1 analysis, that is 2026.